In our day-to-day living, we encounter situations of truth and opinion. To distinguish between truth and opinion, ways of philosophizing is helpful for such situation. Ways of philosophizing which help in determining truth from opinion are not foreign to us. These methods are presented to us and they are just waiting to be used in various situations. We must keep in mind that, despite the fact that they might lead to false beliefs, opinions can also point us in the direction of the truth. Philosophy thus cautions us against accepting an opinion without first questioning its veracity or dependability. Truth be told, being philosophical necessitates analyzing arguments using philosophical means. Good day everyone, I am Owen. Our discussion will center on evaluating truth from opinions in the following situations: arguments in social media, commercials, and fake news using these methods of philosophizing. Evaluating opinions, determining fallacies, and identifying fake news. The following are questions that we will be utilized in order to facilitate the discussion of the lesson. Answer them as you go on the discussion of the lesson. 1. What are the factors that need evaluation to distinguish truth from opinions? 2. How can fallacies as a method of philosophizing be utilized in determining truthfulness of arguments and commercials? 3. How can fake news be identified? To investigate some factors that separate or assess truth from opinions, we must pose philosophical or introspective inquiries. Here are the factors that may be considered for philosophical inquiries to distinguish truth from opinions. 1. Origin and legitimacy of the information. Who is the information's original author? What are the credentials, history, or reputation of the source of information? Is the source of information an expert on the subject? Who or what makes the claim? Is the source trustworthy? 2. Relevance and dependability of the information. How trustworthy is the source of the assertion? How much time has the source of information spent researching the problem? How extensive is the knowledge of the source on the topic? Does the claim have substantiated generalizations? Do the stated premises actually support the conclusion? 3. Context and purpose of the information. What is the author's or the source's primary goal and secondary goal? Who are the intended readers or audiences? Is the message simply propaganda, or is it meant to persuade or convince? What setting does the opinion have in? 4. Prejudice and assumptions of the information. Is the source of information expressing an opinion biased in favor of or against the subject? Does the source show bias, favoritism, or partiality toward or against a cause? Is the language used provocative or emotionally charged? Are arguments put out, or is the foundation only a preconceived notion? 5. Generalization and proofs of the information. Does the source attempt to support or prove the assertion? Are the submitted documents genuine? Does the information represent a wide range of relevant opinions or just one opinion? Are there enough facts to support the conclusion? Are all the important factors taken into account? Be aware that philosophical methods are useful instruments for evaluating and refining beliefs. A general guideline for evaluating viewpoints is to see if the viewpoint is supported by solid arguments and facts. The social media is part of the modern times and it is the stage for situations in which it thrives with so many forms of reactions and comments regarding issues in any sort. Most of these comments and reactions come in the form of arguments. These arguments may be opinions or truth. They intend to persuade. Before being persuaded by these arguments, it is but good to evaluate them. One of the ways to evaluate them is to check if these arguments are logically erroneous in formulation or in construction. Besides arguments in social media, faulty premises and conclusions are also committed in commercials and advertisements just so to sell the product. A particular beauty product is being marketed to be effective because it is being used by a famous and beautiful celebrity. But reality will prove that the beauty product will not be as effective as claimed by the advertisement to all who will be using it. Not only, arguments in social media and advertisements have faulty reasoning, but also in the usual arguments that people express in order to argue or explain a point. These faulty or erroneously constructed arguments are called fallacies. A fallacy is the use of invalid or otherwise faulty reasoning, or wrong moves in the construction of an argument. There are two kinds of fallacies, formal fallacies and informal fallacies. Formal fallacies are created when the relationship between premises and conclusion does not hold up or when premises are unsound. Example: premise, all black bears are omnivores. Premise, all raccoons are omnivores. Conclusion, all raccoons are black bears. On the other hand, informal fallacies are committed when there is a misuse of language and of evidence. Example: John has really worked hard on his term project, and he will really be depressed if he does not make an A for these reasons. You just have to give him an A for his project. Here are some of the known fallacies. Hasty generalization. It is drawing a conclusion based on a small sample size, rather than looking at statistics that are much more in line with the typical or average situation. Its logical form is sample S is taken from population P. Sample S is a very small part of population P. Conclusion C is drawn from sample S and applied to population P. Example: my father smoked 4 packs of cigarettes a day since age 14 and lived until age 69. Therefore, smoking really can't be that bad for you. Dicto simpliciter. It is an argument that is based on unqualified generalization. Its logical form is: X's are normally Y's. A is an X, where A is abnormal. Therefore, A is a Y. Example: exercise is good. Therefore, everybody should exercise. Post hoc ergo propter hoc, or too much of a coincidence or clustering illusion is attributing imaginary causality to random coincidences, concluding that just because something happens close to, at the same time as, or just after something else, the first thing is caused by the second. Its logical form is: A occurred, then B occurred. Therefore, A caused B. Example: let's not take Bill to our picnic. Every time we take him out with us, it rains. Ad misericordiam, or appeal to pity. It is urging an audience to root for the underdog regardless of the issues at hand. Its logical form is: X is true because X is pathetic. Example: a man applies for a job. When the boss asks him what his qualifications are, he replies that he has a wife and 6 children at home. The wife is a helpless cripple, the children have nothing to eat, no clothes to wear, no shoes on their feet, there are no beds in the house, no coal in the cellar, and winter is coming. False analogy. An argument that is incorrectly comparing one thing to another in order to draw a false conclusion. Its logical form is: A is like B. B has property of P, therefore, A has property of P. Example: students should be allowed to look at their textbooks during examinations. After all, surgeons have X-rays to guide them during an operation, lawyers have briefs to guide the lawyer during a trial, carpenters have blueprints to guide them when they are building a house. Hypothesis: contrary to fact or counterfactual fallacy or speculative fallacy or what-if fallacy. It is starting an argument with a hypothesis that is not true and then draw any supportable conclusions from it. Its logical form is: if event X did or did not happen, then event Y would have or have not happened based only on speculation. Example: if Madame Curie had not happened to leave a photographic plate in a drawer with a chunk of pitch blende, the world today would not know about radium poisoning the well or ad hominem. It is attempting to refute an argument by attacking the opposition's personal character or reputation, using a corrupted negative argument from ethos. Its logical form is: X has negative personality. Therefore, X is false. Example: two men are having a debate. The first one gets up and says, "My opponent is a notorious liar. You cannot believe a word that he is going to say." Argumentum ad baculum or persuasion. It is proving one is right by force, violence, or threats of violence. Also applies to indirect forms of threat. Its logical form is, if you don't accept X as true, then you are in trouble. Example: Lando is a cheater. That is true. If you don't agree, I will tell our teacher that you also cheated. Argumentum ad populum or bandwagon or appeal to the popular. It is arguing that because everyone supposedly thinks or does something, it must be right. Sometimes also includes lying with statistics. Its logical form is, X is believed by many. X is true. Example: everybody in the class is wearing Adidas shoes. I need to have one for myself. Blaming the victim. This is committed when one falsely casts the blame for one's own evil or questionable actions on those affected. Its logical form is, X is a victim. X is at fault. Example: you have a lot of money, that is why I stole some from you. Circular reasoning. It is to falsely argue that something is true by repeating the same statement in different words. Its logical form is, X is true because of Y. Y is true because of X. Example: you can't get a job because you have no experience, and you have no experience because you can't get a job. Complex question. It is a contemporary fallacy of demanding a direct answer to a question that cannot be answered without first analyzing or challenging the basis of the question itself. Also applies to situations where one is forced to either accept or reject complex standpoints or propositions containing both acceptable and unacceptable parts. Its logical form is, question X is asked that requires implied claim Y to be accepted before question X can be answered. Example: have you stopped cheating in your exam? Equivocation. It is deliberately failing to define one's terms, or deliberately using words in a different sense than the one the audience will understand. Its logical form is, X means A. X means B. B is different from A. Therefore, A means B. Example: human beings have hands, the clock has hands. A clock is human. False dilemma. It falsely offers limited possible options even though a broad range of possible alternatives are always readily available. Its logical form is, either X or Y is true. Either X, Y, or Z is true. Other choices are not true. Example: either you let me kiss you, which proves that you love me, or you don't let me kiss you, which only proves that you don't love me. Moral licensing. It is contemporary ethical fallacy that one's consistently moral life, good behavior or recent extreme suffering or sacrifice earns him or her the right to commit an immoral act without repercussions, consequences or punishment. Its logical form is, X is always good. X is excused when doing bad. Example: I've been good all year, so one bad won't matter. Slippery slope. It is a common fallacy that one thing inevitably leads to another. Its logical form is, if A, then B, then C, then ultimately Z. Example: if you two go and drink coffee together, one thing will lead to another, and next thing you know you'll get pregnant and end up spending your life on the welfare living in the projects. Appeal to celebrity or star power. It is accepting a claim of a celebrity based on his or her celebrity status, not on the strength of the argument. Its logical form is, X is a celebrity. X claim is true. Example: Tom Cruise says on TV that Billy Boy butter is the best tasting butter there is. Tom Cruise is awesome, especially in MI4 when he scaled that building with only one suction glove. Therefore, Billy Boy butter is the best tasting butter there is. Argumentum ad verecundiam or appeal to authority. It is insisting that a claim is true simply because assumed authority or expert on the issue said it was true, without any other supporting evidence offered. Its logical form is, X is an expert. Therefore, X claim is true. Example: Richard Dawkins, an evolutionary biologist and perhaps the foremost expert in the field, says that evolution is true. Therefore, it's true red herring. It is attempting to redirect the argument to another issue to which the person doing the redirecting can better respond. While it is similar to the avoiding the issue fallacy, the red herring is a deliberate diversion of attention with the intention of trying to abandon the original argument. Its logical form is: Argument A is presented by Person 1. Person 2 introduces Argument B. Argument A is abandoned. Example: Officer, I was speeding. But I have to return this book to the library. I don't want to have to pay a late fee. Straw man. It is substituting a person's actual position or argument with a distorted, exaggerated, or misrepresented version of the position of the argument. Its logical form is: Person 1 makes claim Y. Person 2 restates Person 1's claim in a distorted way and then attacks the distorted version of the claim. Therefore, claim Y is false. Example: People who oppose gun control are potential terrorists. We cannot allow terrorists to decide our laws. All guns should be banned. And another situation wherein we can be able to utilize methods of philosophizing in order to evaluate truth from opinion is the fake news. Sharing false information to influence people's opinions on various issues is not a new practice. Since the beginning of print media, sensational headlines or political articles have been used to disseminate misinformation and propaganda. Fake news has grown to be a more pervasive internet issue in an era of digital information flow that is challenging to manage. Because fake news is simple to post on social media and with social bots, it can quickly become widely known. Fake news refers to articles, photos, and videos that are published with the intention of disseminating false information, or material that is factually erroneous. These news stories, which aim to grab attention, shock, or form opinions, could initially seem real. People or organizations acting in their own or other people's interests may produce fake news. Misinformation is frequently produced with personal, political, or economic objectives in mind. Most often, fake news is used to sway public opinion for political or financial benefit. False information is also frequently included in spectacular headlines known as clickbait, which seeks to get readers to visit the websites that are linked and therefore make revenue from advertising. Phishing attempts also make use of fake information and take advantage of internet users' trust. Personal user information is gathered through the use of contact forms that appear to be genuine in order to commit identity theft. Hoax chain emails, which threaten recipients with problems if they don't share an email, are another frequent occurrence. Here are the most common types of fake news. 1. Targeted misinformation. False information spread to further one's own agenda. Targeted misinformation frequently targets demographics that are most receptive to it and readily accept and spread divisive material without checking its veracity. 2. False headlines. Headlines that use made-up information to attract readers' attention. These are frequently used by publications with lower credibility, including tabloid newspapers. The article's substance frequently does not match the headline, which is readily noticed by readers. Clickbait headlines are the term used to describe their titles. 3. Viral posts. Social media networks are constantly adding new articles and material. As a result, users frequently neglect to authenticate posts. Popular postings are displayed more frequently in the user's feed on huge social networks because they reward shares, likes, and followers, even when the content is bogus news. 4. Satirical news. Satirical news takes current events and news stories and combines them with made-up, frequently ludicrous happenings. Satire is frequently used to draw attention to societal problems or expose governmental malfeasance. However, there is always a chance that the jokes will be missed and people would take the information as fact. Even while a lot of fake news starts out looking credible, It's also simple to disprove. It should become simple to tell the difference between authentic and false news if you routinely use a couple of the techniques listed. 1. Verify the sender. Examine the sender's social media profile by asking the following questions. How long has their social media account been active? Is there a blue verification stamp on the account? How many friends and followers does the account currently have? What kinds of content are shared most frequently? A social bot or internet troll may be to blame for a new social network account that has few friends or followers yet shares exciting content. 2. Check the images and videos. Visual information can easily be removed from its context. Keep an eye out for any location indicators, such as billboards, traffic signs, or vehicle license plates, and make sure they match the location of the image. Reverse image searches utilizing URL tools like TinEye or the Chrome add-on RevEye are an additional helpful resource. These can be used to confirm the date and location of a photograph's initial publication. Video authentication is more challenging. Users of sophisticated computer editing tools can produce deepfake videos, which replace the faces in the original videos. To locate an original video, use Amnesty International's YouTube Data Viewer. 3. Verify the authors or imprint. Imprints or details about writers' rights and copyright can be found on some websites. You shouldn't trust the source of shared content if this kind of information is lacking. 4. Verify the URL. In an effort to appear credible, some forms of fake news adopt the look of well-known media companies. In this situation, it is wise to check a URL in a browser. A hyphen or a different domain ending, such as .net instead of .com, can sometimes be the only distinction. Societal effects of fake news. The World Wide Web, formerly hailed as a democratic medium, but it now has a poor reputation for the accuracy of its data. This is due to the fact that anyone may generate, distribute, and alter information online. Fake news also poses a significant problem because an increasing number of people are adopting internet media as their main source of information. On the one hand, democracy thrives because knowledge is freely available and aids in our understanding of the linkages between politics, society, and the economy. Fake news, on the other hand, promotes skepticism and distrust and obstructs dialogue and dispute resolution. This lesson emphasizes the following. Whether we are aware or not, it becomes part of our lives to evaluate opinions from truth and utilize certain methods to do so. These methods, whether we are aware of the terms, include but not limited to, evaluating factors that in determining truth from opinion, utilizing the context of fallacies, and ways to identify fake information. Also, in this modern era, in which the Internet becomes a useful tool and a powerful tool to influence through information dissemination, situations that need evaluation of truth from opinion proliferates in the net. These include but not limited to, arguments posted by netizens, commercials, and fake news. With that, I hope that you applied the lesson learned in situations in which there is a need to evaluate truth from opinion. This so insane mabuhay. Be the best that you can be and be a blessing to others.